Hello, and I hope you all enjoyed that piece of royalty-free music. I'm Zach Magnitsky. This is Instinct Marketing. Welcome to the only talk show where nothing's ever gone wrong. Business casual. Is it only episode 1? Don't worry about it. So tonight we've got some phenomenal guests for you. We have an upcoming app developer. We have a teacher for a children's program, children's music program. Great job. And we have an audio engineer who helped you with their podcast. All phenomenal. So first, I want to know about you. How are you guys doing out there? I'll wait. That was phenomenal. Thanks, guys. That was some really great stuff. And here we are with Nina. Nina has just joined up in a second here. She's getting connected. And we have, hello, Nina.
Oh, hey.
How are you doing today?
Amazing.
Phenomenal.
Super
Glad to hear it. And we are getting the next person in here. And there is Cyndi. Cyndi, hello, how are you?
I'm good. Zach, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm sitting inside. It's very warm in my house. How's everybody's business casual outfit going?
I feel good.
Super business.
I tried to dress like appropriately for my business, so kind of like cute and fun. Yeah, that's what I was going for.
I like it. My thought process was I wear the same dress shirts no matter what kind of meeting I'm going to. So let's keep that ball rolling. And here we have Nick is on his way in any second here.
Nice.
And here he's connecting right now. Nick.
Hello,
Nick. How are you?
How's it going?
I'm going well. I want to give Nick the award for hands down looking the absolute most technologically advanced out of the bunch.
What? I'm the audio guy, so I got to look the part too, right?
Yeah, you totally do.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm happy to be here. This is going to be fun.
Well, I mean, listen, for all I know, it is going to be fun. For all I know, Nina and Cyndi both have as equally impressive setups, but they just made it look a lot less obvious.
That's right. I just like to flaunt it, you know.
Okay, so tonight's going to be fun. We're going to learn a bit about you guys, find out about your businesses, find out what you've been doing, what you've been doing to combat the current situation, and we're going to play a bit of a game, and it's going to be fun. So first, I'm going to go in order of the boxes on my screen. Nina, why don't you tell us, who are you and how did you get this number?
Oh. Well, we have an interesting origin story, Zach.
It's true.
So, Zach and I met way back in university where we did one class together, I want to say. Maybe it was 2. It was an elective that I took very by chance. It was it voice acting?
It was voice and speech.
Voice for non-majors. Voice and speech for non-majors.
Nice.
And so, yeah, just super, down the list of electives we could pick. I was there, Zach was there. We ended up becoming friends. And now this is, I don't want to say how many years later, but X amount of years later.
More than 1 year.
More than 1, less than 10, I think. Zach, don't confirm or deny. Don't confirm or deny.
It's been 3. We met on the internet. She lured me to the park with promises of candy and funny stories. I would like to place on record that the day Nina and I became friends, I literally, I think it'd probably been 3 weeks into the class, we'd never spoken. One day I was like, hey, your name's Nina, right? She's like, yeah. I said, okay, come with me to get food.
That sounds like Zach.
And here we are.
And so Cyndi, who are you and how did you get this number?
I've had this number for a long time. Yeah. I don't even want to say how long I've known you for.
It's been at least a year and a day. So you know me at least 1 day longer than Nina.
Ooh.
Most certainly have. Yeah. I've known you since you were a kid, which is crazy to me, but that's all right. What am I supposed to tell you? What else am I supposed to tell you? I've just known you.
No, don't worry. We're establishing rapport first. I've got to get a bit of banter going, right?
Okay, gotcha. Nice.
So Nick, who are you and how did you get this number?
My name's Nick, and I've probably known you the shortest amount of time from the sounds of it.
Less than a year.
Less than a year. Is it less than a year? Is it really that little?
No, we just established if everyone else is a year and a day, statistically you had to be.
Oh, right. So I'm like 360 days.
Yeah.
we met through my lovely girlfriend, Laura. Zach and Laura are good friends. And now Zach and I are good friends.
Fun fact that I didn't even think about until now. Laura was in the same class as me and Nina.
No.
Is that right?
No.
True story. True story. But we'll come back to that down to the brass tacks. Why don't you tell everybody? We want to learn about, we now know who you are to some degree. We want to know about your businesses. We want to know what each of you do. We want to know how you got started, just the essentials of the business. We started with Nina. This time we'll start with Nick. Why don't you have at it?
I run an audio engineering and production service, and I help people, mainly entrepreneurs and small business owners, but anybody who wants to start a podcast, I help them start a podcast. Love podcasting. Definitely see the value in it, and there's a lot of people who also see that same value. So for those who want to do it and don't really know how, or don't have the time to figure it out, they come and see me. We do everything from launching it to maintaining it for the long term. So in a nutshell, that's Micme Audio.
That sounds pretty great. Just remember, this isn't a podcast; it's a talk show.
That's right. Yeah, I gotta keep that in mind. I'm used to the podcast scene, not the video on air scene like this.
No.
We're gonna move to a podcast, though. You know that's what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I should record the whole thing and release it as a podcast.
Exactly.
Whoa, spin-off idea. Okay, so Cyndi, why don't you tell us about your business?
Sure. So we run music classes for newborns, toddlers, preschoolers, and as we call them, big kids, and the grown-ups that love them. And so we have music classes in the east and west of Toronto. We're part of a larger company called Music Together. We are fun with music together. And so, we offer music classes where the parents come and join in with the kids. And so we're really trying to establish a musical bond between parents and their child. And so we give them lots of great music, as you can kind of see back here. They come with us for semesters throughout the year, and we just have a musical, amazing, fun time together. Yeah.
Amazing. Sounds pretty fun. And the moral of the story is at least, oh no, I will be able to keep up with that level.
Fantastic.
Okay, Nina, tell us all about Hello Iris.
Yeah, so my company's called Hello Iris, and we do guided meditations based on your personality. And so it's something like, imagine a calm or a headspace experience, but instead of having a really general, pay attention to your breathing or imagine a golden light, we really do a set of meditations that are tailored towards how you see the world, how you experience it, and helping you really get to know yourself better in that way. And we see that as a way to connect not only with yourself, but with other people and with the world around you. So it's a way of using guided meditation to immerse yourself more in the world.
I've got to tell you, it sounds pretty innovative. I don't know another app out there like that. And if I do, I don't want to know about it.
If I do, I've already forgotten about it.
Everything you need, you've got everything you need with Nina's app. So
Exactly.
why go somewhere else?
One-stop shop. Okay, so first thing, now we kind of get an understanding of what you guys' business are and what you do. I want to get a little bit more in-depth in terms of the origin story of the business. What got you started on that path? What made you decide, oh, this is the route for me? Cyndi, why don't you start us on that one?
Okay, well, I fell into this like most people do. It just kind of happened upon me. I was performing in a show, and the director said to me, hey, I've just started up this company, and I think you'd be a really great teacher. Why don't you come see? And this is my cat here that's making an appearance. There you go.
Oh, yes.
Hello.
Special guest.
Exactly. I have.
If we're really good, Baloo will show up.
Yeah, amazing.
Gonna fit him on your lap.
Yeah, exactly. So I went to the class going, music classes for babies, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I went and I fell completely in love with it. And that was maybe 15 years ago. And so I guess I came to it really from the ground up kind of thing, where it was not a business that I had ever heard of before. I didn't have children at the time, and it just really amazed me. It really amazed me how musical children really are from the get-go. And I thought to myself, boy, I really want this world to be a more musical place. That's super important to me and who I am. And so if I want that to be a truth, then I must keep this going. I must bring music to young children so that we will have a more musical world. So that, and I just have never gotten off that path. So yeah.
That sounds awesome. Okay, Nina, why don't you tell us what got you into this, your journey?
Yeah, so we took a bit of a detour to get here. So originally my co-founder and I had started building a dating app. And yeah, so our whole thing was like, we're not really happy with the options out there. We don't think anyone really is. And it's been a while since a new app came out that would make this better. And so we were thinking like, okay, what's kind of the approach that we can take to help people connect with each other better, to have more meaningful relationships, to be able to fall in love. And as we were kind of building out that idea, we realized it's a very limited kind of view to take just romantic relationships. And our goal was really to help people connect with themselves and with other people, not necessarily just to have a good date or to have somebody to get married to. And so as we kept building the company, we ended up coming to using the technology that we are using to match people, to match them to guided meditations that help them understand themselves better.
I'm a fan. I got to tell. I mean, I already knew about it, and I was already a fan. But if I wasn't a fan, I would like double down
Even
on my
more
fan.
of a fan.
I am now worth the value of 2 fans.
I've got some shares to sell you, Zach.
I love sharing. And next, tell us all about how did Micme get going?
Like Cyndi, I started out in the music world. However, I never wanted to be an artist or play music sort of like that. I've always wanted to record it. I guess the very first moment I recorded something was with a Yak Back. Do you guys remember Yak Back?
I had a Yak Back football.
No.
Yeah, I had Yak Back. Everything got recorded. Everything got played back. I loved it. And then as the years went on, always wanted to do recording, audio engineering and stuff like that. So much so that I went into manufacturing first and spent anywhere from 4 to 5 years there. Realized how little I enjoyed it and how much I just wanted to be working with music, sound in any sort of context. So I went back to school for audio engineering and production, went into the music industry straight out of there, and had an amazing time in there and met all kinds of really great people. Learned everything I needed to learn about sound and how to manipulate it and record it and everything, edit it. I soon found my way into radio. The music industry was changing at the time I was getting into it. I wanted to work in those large, recording studios with the big mixing console and everything. But those are slowly dying off, and it was becoming a very boutique world. And so I tried my hand at that a little bit, and eventually found my way into radio. The production techniques and recording techniques that are used in radio are everything that I really enjoy doing with production. And podcasting, I eventually came to view as sort of an evolution of radio. And so I thought, let's move into the future. There's a ton of opportunity here, and I want to help make that happen. And thus Micme was born.
I mean, you actually might be able to answer a question. I mean, I've been wondering it for some time, but it's a question that's gone unanswered since the 80s. Nick, did video in fact kill the radio star?
It did not. It's just not going to let go. It's one of the oldest mediums out there, and it's still going strong. Last year was a record year for radio, and people are listening. People are buying airtime, and it's still a very, very, listened to medium.
Well, that's an interesting thing. Why do you think last year was such a big year for radio?
It's the fact that radio is free is a big part of it, right? It's ad driven. So radio stations make their money by selling ad space. which allows them to give it to the listeners for free. With internet coming in, you can listen to any radio station anywhere in the world, which before the internet wasn't possible because you could only use the radio waves in the local area. So definitely the internet. Satellite radio came in and you saw programming quality go up, way up. Howard Stern, famous, whether you love him or hate him, still is top of the game. And then there's also the commute and the news, right? So you get up-to-date news. You get it in your car when you're sitting in traffic and there's nothing else to do. And it's there with you. You know, the personalities, you fall in love with them. The way they speak and their opinions and the jokes they tell, or the duo in the morning, the way that they play off of each other, people fall in love with it. And just they feel a closeness with the personalities as well. So it's everything about radio that is keeping it alive, and it'll continue to stay alive. And the podcasts will do the exact same thing because it's so closely related. It's just actually on demand, which makes it a little bit even easier to listen to because you won't miss anything. It's just fed straight to you, and you get the content without missing it.
Well, that's quite an interesting quite an interesting topic, because something Nina and I were discussing, and Nina, I'll let you start this off once I finish the point, is that some people like Nina often choose the route of partnerships over traditional ads. So something like this, for example, as opposed to running a digital ad or, doing a video or whatever. So what do you guys think about that? Like, in your opinion, which one is the most effective? Because you have to market yourself, you have to advertise in some capacity. So what do you think about that, partnerships versus, some form of an actual, this is me, buy my thing ad?
I guess it depends on how the partnership looks. Like we have a really great partnership with a company called Micme. And in that company, we actually get to do one of our classes as a free demo for people, for new moms. So they've not heard of us or maybe other programs. And so we get to go in and they get a very personal experience with us rather than an ad, right? But so I think you kind of have to have a little bit of both, because then if people are going, hey, wait, what was that music program again? And they Google search us, then you better be sure that our ad comes up first, right? So I think it has to be a combination of both. I'm not sure you can, in this world, you can do one or the other.
Mm-hmm. Nina, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And the way that we were thinking about it is, for us especially, what we talk about in kind of our way of working, it's a certain mindset. And so our thinking was like, if we just put out ads in there, it's going to be a lot of people who maybe don't resonate with what we're building or who aren't interested in the backbone of what we talk about. Whereas something like partnerships or long form content, or something where there's more of a relationship before someone sees what you do, I feel like you kind of have that onboarding ramp where you're getting the right people who are bought into what you're doing. Yeah. And so for us, that was really the mindset behind focusing more on partnerships as opposed to just like Instagram ads or Facebook ads, or things that it's, in 10 words, describe what you do and get people to click and sign up and spend 15 minutes of their time doing this.
Mm-hmm. So then do you think that would lean towards something like, experiential marketing or events? So you get people on the ground, and I've done plenty of experiential marketing campaigns myself. You actually get people as a brand ambassador to say, hey, person I'm talking to, I'm here to represent this, and this is why it's so great, and really make that personal connection versus, as you said, like a sum yourself up in 10 words thing. So do you say that down the road, you think you would, if you had to pick something, would lean more towards like experiential if you had to pick one?
I think it really depends. And for me, when I think of meditation and this more kind of mindfulness practice, I think of that as a solo activity or something you do in your downtime when you're by yourself. And when I think experiential marketing, like I've been a brand ambassador for a few years, way back when, and that's very much more like high energy, in your face, getting people to try stuff, getting people to come in. And I just see a separation between those two things. Mm-hmm. But also, I feel like you can tell me, because you're the expert in that. And maybe that's changed since I was, doing that.
So, from my perspective, what I would do with something like that is I would set up like meditation stations or something, clever, something like that.
It sells itself pretty much.
It literally
Yeah.
tells us- you get like you pull
Good
something.
rhyme.
Hey, we've got this really great meditation station for you. Come in, get your personalized meditation set up. They run the app. They go inside, and then they go in this little box, and we probably give them a window or something. They don't get too freaked out, and then they have their whole 5-minute experience, and they go, "Oh my god, I need this thing," and that's where the experience comes in. Because to me, the app feels very experiential in that. The experience is what takes you back there. You feel good. The meditation makes you feel good. And then you want to do it again. Now, I came up with the idea literally as I was speaking, so that probably aligns more to my improv than my advertising skills. But at the same time, the point is there. But speaking of getting your name out, I want to talk to you guys about brand and culture, because they're two very different things, just for anybody watching, to give you guys a sense at home. So to me, brand is more your company's core values or what they stand for, or like adjectives used to describe your company. Whereas to me, culture is sort of the overall vibe of where you work and how everybody feels on the day. If it's like super profesh, or if it's try to be a fun vibe, but then still try to, you still got to get the work done, or if it's the kind of place that has an office cap. So do you guys, I want to know what, your company's brand is. And then, if you hit unbelievable success and got to the point where you're in an office with a gazillion people, what you would do to what culture would you want to have, and how would you create that? And who started last? This cat is the best thing ever. Nita, why don't you start with that one?
Okay, so in terms of brand, like what we really started out as back when we were a dating app, back even as people, for us, it was very much about trust, vulnerability, and empathy. And for us, when we were like, okay, well, we want a dating app where people can really connect to each other and not feel so guarded or defensive or aggressive. And if that's kind of the feeling we want people to have towards each other, how can we as a company display that first? And if you want to call it like be the change you want to see or exemplify that. And so for us, what we started doing with my co-founders on LinkedIn, we would post every single day about what our day was like and what we did. And that was things like, today was really horrible and we had a big fight and we haven't talked for the last 4 hours because we're just really mad at each other and we're waiting for that to pass. Or things like, we had a big investor meeting and here are the things that we talked about and here's where we see challenges coming. And we tried to just be really open with both the highs and the lows of being an entrepreneur, not just the how we're crushing it or how we're winning or how we're set to be like the next biggest thing ever forever. And I think that's a way, like that's translated into being guided meditations. It's something we still do to this day. And we try and do that just by being as open as possible to a degree that's maybe more than what you normally see. And in terms of culture, I think for us, the biggest thing is, because what we do is guided meditations based on your personality, we really care about individual people, what matters to them, what motivates them, what demotivates them. And that can be something like, hey, if you don't feel like you're going to do productive work today and you're tired and you feel sick, take the day off and that's fine. Because that's going to help you much more in the long run than just forcing everybody to work or to do like the standard thing, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, yeah, culture is very much like take care of your people and look at them as individuals with different needs and take care of them that way.
Awesome. Nick, why don't you tell us your version of that, your side of that?
Podcasting is very collaborative. So community, our brand is built around the community. It's also educational. We cater to the entrepreneur and the solopreneur and the small business. And those people typically want to share an expertise and help people develop their own skill sets. So educational, collaborative. It takes a team to start a podcast. So we definitely focus in on from moment one with a client saying, you're going to be the executive producer. We're going to be the technical stuff, but we've also got all the information that you need about producing it, in terms of content. So lean on us, we'll lean on you. And it's very much collaborative. If we're putting out any kind of content of our own, it's always going to be value first and educational first. How do you start a podcast? Or here's the equipment you need to start a podcast. stuff like that. And when it comes to culture, we're 100% online. The team is 100% remote. We work from our professional recording studios and offices from our home. So that, in terms of culture, we've got to be innovative in that point. That's connecting online on social media. If someone's posting something, where we're getting in there and we're engaging with that post, and when we need to talk and get together, stuff like this, where we're getting together online, doing a Zoom call conference just like this, and we get in, we get out, and it's very sharp and quick and well put together. So that's kind of it with us.
Okay, and Cyndi, what about you?
Oh, well, let's see. In terms of brand, I mean, community, that's definitely a big one for us as well. Joy, enthusiasm, family, these are all things, of course, that are super important to us. Relaxed, fun, informative, all of these things are all part of our brand. Because, sorry, my cat, she must be starving. She never pays attention to me. I don't know what is going on right now.
Headline, cat neglects owner.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, like it's just all of that feel good stuff around music and music making, and not having any judgment around how we make that music. It's just supposed to be fun, creative, and the learning will happen. The learning will happen the more enthusiastic and joyful that we are, and as the parents are. And as far as our culture goes, it is not the easiest job to do. Like, there's a lot of training involved, and it's not for the faint of heart by any means. And so I feel like the people that we get are super awesome. There's a super amazing group of people. And our culture, unfortunately, because of the way we teach normally, is we're doing it by ourselves. And so we don't get to see each other very often. And so we do definitely try to have events together so that we get to spend time together. So we get to say, to talk about the frustrations and the joys. And even in this time, we're Zooming together. We're talking to each other. We're hoping to make some music videos together as well. So we definitely want to feel like a family ourselves and a community within of ourselves. The company itself is what I'm trying to say.
So I always find brand and culture such an interesting thing, because often it's, especially brand, is a thing that people, when they start their business, they don't even think about. And you shouldn't think of it when you start out, because you can have an idea of what you want your company to be. But at the same time, it's, often when I ask people, what's your brand? When I'm consulting, it's like, what's your brand? They go, well, it's, and then I have to whip out the branding exercise, and it helps us guide them along. But once they have the branding exercise, they have a very clear idea, because it asks things like, what are your core values, or what are adjectives that describe your business, or things like that. And then they've got all the answers right there. Or if you ask them, what colors represent you, and things like that, they've got it. It's all there, but they don't necessarily know that that's a brand. And then to explain sort of the difference between brand and culture, and again, culture often is something that maybe when you start out, you're like, oh, I'm going to be like a cool Google office. And then it just becomes like a very mundane office. And I've seen people get frustrated because they had ideas of culture, and then it didn't evolve into that, and people aren't having fun. It's like, what do you mean you're not having fun? This work's supposed to be fun. And you're like, wait, are you mad that I'm not having fun? So it's just, I always find it such an interesting topic. But speaking of topics, the hot one of the current climate, which I think we all should discuss because it's on everybody's mind out there, is the COVID situation. I feel like saying it like that makes it sound like a spy movie. The COVID situation in a world divided by fear.
You normally do all those trailers because you sounded exactly like them.
They never gave me any credit. I sold my voice away at the age of 6. We're like, wow, the 6-year-old sounds like a 50-year-old man. I know. It's super rad. We taught the 6-year-old the word rad. But yeah, so the COVID situation is not so cool as it could sound, and everyone's had to adjust. Some have had to make more adjustment than others, depending on where you are in terms of market or launching or whatever. But I want to hear sort of your guys' input and sort of how it's affected you. And maybe it hasn't affected you that hard, but then you know your plans for the future once this is all over. Nina, why don't we start with you in that respect?
Yeah, so for us, it's been a good thing overall. And we just launched our product maybe 2-3 weeks ago now. So we're still pretty new. But I mean, like mental health, wellness, it's all becoming more and more top of mind. And I think that was a trend that started before everything happened. But, you know, when you're in the same space for weeks and weeks on end, I think it really becomes more pressing. And so I think just being positioned in that space has been advantageous for us. In terms of how it's impacted our future plans. So I was in Brazil with my co-founder just like up until mid-March, and we had to come back because of everything going on. But our plans were like, we're going to be in Europe next for an accelerator. After that, we're going to LA, and then we'll be back in Toronto like maybe end of the year. And that obviously has all kind of gone away to just be a big question mark of what's going to happen. But our plan is still make our way to LA as soon as we can, and you know, start to dive into the culture there, into the community there, and see if that's a city where our company will thrive, which is right now what we're really thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. And it's interesting that, you know, you say, you know, it's been advantageous for you, but that's something not form the words. Mental health is, you're right, it's something people don't often think about. Like, I've got to go to work, and I'll just, if I'm not okay, you'll deal with it. And yet, because everybody's at home all the time and people are getting cabin fever, and some could make the case, oh my God, all you have to do is stay home, but it can take a toll. And so then people are getting stressed out, and you go, stressed out, are you? Well, I got the product for you. It'll be like the guy who's selling wacky wave inflatable on-flailing tube man on Family Guy.
You do your movie trailer voice. And,
wacky wavy inflatable arm-flailing tube man warehouse and emporium. Due to a shipping error, I am currently overstocked. And wacky wave inflatable arm-flailing tube man.
Maybe it's not the right vibe for a meditation app, but it'll stand out. It'll stand out.
Calm down.
Okay, so Cyndi, so tell us what have you been adjusting? What's been your COVID situation? Your COVID operation?
You're muted, Cyndi.
Oh, bless you. Thank you. Thank you, sound guy. I appreciate that.
Always on top.
Tick, Jerry.
Yeah, our COVID situation has been crazy. We have had to reinvent the wheel very quickly because all of our classes are in person, and that's part of, you know, what makes them magical is we're having a live experience together. So I had said to my center director, I had said to her, you know, before anything hit, I thought, you know, I know I'm talking like, you know, months ahead from now, but maybe we should talk about going online, maybe. And then suddenly everything was closed, suddenly. And we were very lucky because our parent company, Music Together, they were really on top of it as well, which was a really great thing. So they were recommending the platforms for us to use and, you know, ways to do it. But we also really got ahead of it ourselves in that we immediately got online and started offering free Facebook Live videos. And so we were doing it every day for people, 11 and 7. So we'd do a class at 11 and a lullaby at night, just to keep the music going so that the parents had something to hold on to. And they very quickly told us how important it was for us to be there. And so I think, you know, all of these pieces kind of came together, and we were able to very smoothly, well, with a lot of hard work behind it, but fairly smoothly to transition to online classes, which was something we had never, ever considered before. But necessity is the mother of invention, right? So, so we are, of course, obviously down in numbers because some families do not want to have any screen time at all. But we're making it work. We are doing better than probably we thought we might have. So we are very happy that we got on top of it as quickly as we could, and that people have come with us. And I think that says a lot for our whole company and how attached our families feel to our teachers, to our whole team. So it's been a really great thing. It's been a hard transition, but we've made it work.
Cyndi, on that note, I remember so how many families, even at the lowered capacity, like how many families are you still dealing with now?
200.
That's at reduced capacity.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to make sure we're calling out is you talking to the viewers and saying their names and stuff. You want to tell us about that element?
Yeah, for sure. This is we quickly kind of discovered some magic along the way, because with Facebook Live, people can send comments and talk to you basically. And so this was before we had started Zoom classes and we couldn't see anybody. So the parents would write in, "Oh, Tally's watching right now," and we'd say, "Hi, Tally, how are you? It's so great that you're here with us." And so the kids, their minds were blown that we were talking to them. And so I think Zach likened it to, watching Dora, where you say along with Dora, "Let's find map," or whatever it is that you say. And I likened it, because I'm older, I likened it to the romper room where, the woman had the mirror and said, "I see Johnny and Lizzie and Sarah." And I still hold on to it when I was a kid. I
the same
still
way.
remember. Yeah.
I remember that one too. Yeah.
Did they ever say, "I see Cyndi"?
Yeah, I think she said Cynthia. So, which is my name.
Close enough.
But I still remember waking my mother up that she had said my name.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's
a
rush.
Yeah, so we kind of figured out that there was magic to be had. We just had to mine it. We just had to find it and reinvent ourselves to a certain extent, but without changing fundamentally who we are.
Yeah, but if anything, it seems like you've added an extra element that you can even build on after the fact. So, let's say tomorrow I flipped a switch and the COVID situation was over and we can all go back to normal. But like, to me, you almost want to keep at least one of those streams, because then anybody who didn't come that day could still get something, and the kid can lose their mind because, "Oh my God, the lady on the TV said my name, Mom."
Yeah, exactly. And that's definitely something that we're going to have to incorporate anyway as we slowly start to integrate back, because we won't be able to have full capacity classes right away, for sure. And so we may be doing a combination for quite a while of online and in person, if we ever get to in person anytime in the near future. So it's been a really great thing that we have been able to adapt, for sure.
Listen, I can tell you that's probably very exciting as somebody who, when your name starts with a Z, you don't often get a shout out when you're 5 on a TV show. It's like that and summer birthdays. You never got the in-class birthday. You never found a license plate at Disneyland with your name on it. They have Bork, they don't have you.
It's true.
Also, before I get to Nick, I just want to take an opportunity to shout out to everybody. If anybody's watching has questions, feel free to message us on Facebook. I'll get all the messages on my phone, and then we can ask your questions to anybody out there. You can message me directly or comment on the actual stream, whatever you want to do. Get all those questions to me, and we'll ask away. Nick, let's talk about your COVID situation, your COVID operation.
Because we're already online and everything is sort of running remotely already, and it is podcasting. It's been only lightly affected. It's kind of balanced itself out. On one hand, podcast listening is down because there's less commuting, there's less people in the gym. A lot of people listen in the gym, less jogging outdoors and stuff like that. But on the other hand, it's a great time for people to start things that they didn't have time to before. Because if you're working from home, maybe you save 2 hours on the day because you have an hour drive, one way to go to work. So we've seen a little bit of an uptick in interest. However, we've seen a little bit of a downtick in some of our clients who are thinking, let's let's save it a little bit, or they're spending time moving their own teams remotely, because we do deal with businesses and stuff like that. So it's sort of balanced out a little bit. One of the things that we are doing though is it's giving us a little bit of time to add in new services. We want to add a video element, so we're going to go ahead and develop that. We're in the middle of developing that, and so it hasn't really changed much. You know, our team is used to working on and remotely, so there was very little shock to them. So it's just kind of been the same, which is nice.
Oh, that's good. I mean, listen, it sounds like, you know, Nina and Nick, the two of you managed to managed to be in a situation where your particular industries weren't necessarily hit the hardest, but you still had to adjust. To say take advantage kind of sounds like the wrong word, but it's to maximize, I guess, to maximize the field, or however you want to put it, that there was more positives for you than the average person, but at the same time, you still had to make those movements and realize we are in a weird time. I can't go outside. I can't deal with clients, but we're still going to do what we need to do. And, you know, maybe as Nick said, you know, people aren't looking to do as many podcasts, or they'll do it internally because they want to save the money. And then you still have to adjust after the fact.
Yeah. One of the things that I've noticed, thank you for jogging my memory, is the people who are coming on board, they are the process has been noticeably different because everybody's kind of going through this. And so the way we're onboarding has changed. It's changed temporarily. Things are moving along much more at their pace. We're a lot less pushy. One of the things that we've typically had to do is, you know, okay, you know, you started it, let's go. You got to do this next, this next, this next. And that's changed from that to, you know, we'll do this at your pace. Here's the next thing, you know, within the next week, you know, check it out. And then slowly moving people forward that way, just to be, to consider the situation. And of course, with the existing clients who are slowing down, just letting them know that we're here at 100% capacity. We're running, and whenever you're ready to come back or you're ready to put out an episode, let us know, and the same service applies. So.
Okay, cool. Well, we've got a question coming in from the crowd for Nick. So when somebody comes to you and say they want to start a podcast, what does that process typically look like?
The very first thing that you've got to do, and the very first thing I tell everybody to do, is to pre-plan. And it sounds a little more daunting than it is, but there's 3 main questions that you need to get laser focused in on. And that's why you want to make the podcast. Who is the podcast for? Who's going to be listening? And that's literally building out a demographic, right? So you got to look at your topic, and you've got to say, this is for women ages, whatever, 18 to 35. They have these hobbies, these interests. They live in these regions. You really got to get down into what that looks like. And the third question is uniqueness. What is going to set your podcast apart from others? Because there's going to be other people talking about the same thing in their podcasts, which is fine, because the main thing that's going to set you apart is your personality or personalities as the host and co-hosts. But you still want to have one more little thing that sets you apart, whatever that is. Get creative, right? It's as creative as you can make it. And there's no standard yet. You know, it's a young industry. There's no regulations. You can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. You can do it however you want. And so that's definitely where you need to start. From there, you want to look into format. Are you going to be interviewing people? Is it a solo show? Is it scripted? And you want to make sure you know what's going on there. And then you want to look into your equipment. You know, that again sounds harder than it is. There's only a few pieces you need. And then you can start recording. Start recording. The first episode should be, this is who I am, or this is who we are. This is what we do. A little bit about us. This is what the podcast is about. This is what you can expect. And that's the very first episode. And then you just get rolling from there. That's a very short-handed way of putting it, but that's, you know, those are the general steps there.
Okay. A follow-up question to that is, do you already have people to talk to, or do do you have your own audience?
That's a great question, because that answers two parts. One of the best things about podcasting is you are able to grow your network exponentially and very easily. Because when you go and ask somebody to be on your podcast, yes, you are asking something from them, but it's got a ton of value behind it, because they're going to be able to come on to your podcast and speak about something that they're at least interested in. Say the podcast is a hobby podcast about, let's say, Spider-Man. People love talking about Spider-Man, so they're going to love coming on and talking about it. In sort of the entrepreneur world, again, it's helping people develop their skill sets. So an expert in accounting, let's say, is going to come on to the podcast, and they're just going to talk about what they do. And they already like talking about it. They're going to do it. They're also going to get exposure from that podcast audience onto them, and maybe people reach out to them. A built-in audience isn't really necessary, and a network isn't really necessary. You can build it very easily. On the other hand, when it comes to marketing, a built-in audience definitely helps, because you are able to monetize a podcast, and it's not easier, but it's quicker to happen if you've got, say, a solid mailing list of however many, few hundred, few thousand, whatever. You can push your podcast out there and get going really strong right out the gate.
Awesome. Okay, Nita, the next question's for you. In terms of the app, and renewability, or not renewability, like returning users. So I go on and I've done my profile, and if I've got anxiety, for example, or if I've got something that's a particular facet in mental health, does the app account for that? And then how does it, is it the one meditation for the one line, or are there like multiple kinds or multiple days?
Yeah. So for us, and we're still not at the app stage yet, but everything's over email on our website. But the way that it works is that everything is tailored to the way that you see the world. And so for some people, imagine what might make you anxious is stress at work. Whereas for me, I might be like, oh, I don't care about stress at work, but family stuff really messes me up. And so everybody has these kinds of different sensitivities and different things that touch on these parts for you. And so we don't talk about anxiety in general, but more about what are the sensitive parts for you. And the way that we structured it right now is, because everything's personalized, we make a ton of content, but then that's spread over a ton of different, very narrow segments. And so where we're at right now is looking at, when you see the world, what things stand out to you? What do you pick out? Is it, I really notice, fairness, or I really notice, equality, or whatever. I notice things that seem, whatever. There's different things that you pick out, and then we talk about that in the meditations, then highlight that for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you notice, oh, I tend to always get frustrated in this case, but what is it? What is it about the situation? Our goal is to kind of highlight those things for you so that you can start to notice them. And then when you start to notice that, then you can choose okay, do I want to maybe react differently? Do I want to remove myself from the situation? Do I want to just accept that this is the way I react and that's okay as well? And to just give you a little bit more power over your life and power over the choices you make, and not just reacting without even noticing what you're reacting to.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's, at this point, it's not targeting specific things like anxiety pack or happiness pack, but it's more let's talk about you and let's see what makes you respond the way that you do.
Mm-hmm. So it's how are you feeling right now? And you do that every time you want to use it, and then you get a thing for that day on the day.
So right now it's a 3 meditation starter pack. Mm-hmm. And 2 of them talk about, the philosophy about how we see the world and how the meditations work and how we see it fitting into your life. And then the 3rd one starts to talk about, okay, here's some general things for you specifically.
Okay,
and
cool.
Then after that, the next round is releasing 2 more that talk about, instead of how do you see the world, it's how do you experience it and how do you react to it as a result.
Okay, phenomenal. And Cyndi, the question for you from the crowd. Thank you, crowd. How do you overcome the parents who are concerned about screen time?
Well, we've tried to keep our classes shorter. So what we've tried to do is our normal classes are 45 minutes
Mhm.
and our online classes are 25 to 30 minutes. And so what we're trying to do is offer more content, um, but in shorter chunks. So God, there's my cat again. So that's really how we're trying to combat that. And then if we also say too, like, oh, here's a baby. I use babies in class, so that the parents can turn the child away from the screen, and so the parents can see what's happening on the screen, right? But then really, it's about their connection with their baby, right? For
Mhm.
example. And we're also encouraging parents, if they don't want to, they can turn their screen off, so they can still see what's going on, but we don't see them if they're concerned, about privacy or that sort of thing. So, so we are trying to be very conscious. I mean, I did not allow my own son till he was 2 to watch screens, so we're definitely cognizant of that.
Mhm. That's fine. I always find it so interesting how just parents is so many different approaches parents take, and nobody's right, nobody's wrong. But it's just like, for example, like I am told that as of 6 weeks old, I was in the car seat watching TV. Like they left me, just plopped me in, and like I was being tended to, but I was fully focused on this TV, and like no, he's not. Oh my God, he is actually watching TV.
Yeah, that explains a lot, Zach.
Yeah, and you saw a movie trailer at that
Yes.
age. Come this far.
Yeah, that's right.
Listen, I may or may not know like at least 3 of the songs from Animaniacs off by heart.
Love it.
Okay, so the last question I have before we get to one little fun bit is, so if you guys could wave a magic wand and tomorrow your company has reached the heights that you like, your wildest dreams, what does that look like to you guys? And we'll start with Cyndi because she's in the corner right now.
Oh, geez, me first? Gosh.
I mean, you can hand it off.
Well, let's see. I guess just reaching every family that we possibly can and getting music happening in their home with us, because we think that we do a really great job. And so it would just make me so happy if people valued music and knew right from the get-go, like before they had their kids, that music was going to be a priority for them, right? So that we could reach them somehow before they have their children, so that they know that music is got to be a part of life right from the very beginning. So that it's not so much the work to get them there, that they already know that music is important and that they want us to bring it to them.
Yeah, so you want you want the company to be a household name,
Yeah.
not necessarily because of the fame, but because of the importance of music towards children.
Yeah, that everybody deemed it important and could see the value in live experiences, or online experiences, to know that so much can happen for children if they're exposed to music early. So, and they can just come to us because we'll give it to them.
Okay, Nina, what does your dream company look like once it's ascended all the way there?
Yeah, I think for us, it's very much just giving people a way to feel connected with the world around them and feel like they're a part of something, or to connect to a sense of wonder, and something where you don't feel like you're just going through every day kind of like, yeah, I go to work, I do this thing, I see a movie, I come back, I have my family, I go to work, and it's just like all on autopilot without feeling like there's something bigger or grander, more meaningful to it, and to just be able to connect to that kind of feeling.
Okay, cool. And so, Nick, what does it look like to you?
Podcast, there's so many benefits to podcasting, so the more podcasts the better. And we want to slowly but add to the way we do it now, which is content creators come to us. We want to continue to do that, but we also want to build a network of podcasts that Micme is generating the content for in every format. And that's whether you want to build a skill set or whether you want to listen to a fictional episodic, fantasy story, like a radio play. And so that would be it. doing everything, generating the content and helping the people who want to do it, you know, the purest way on their own and stuff like that. So, yeah.
It's funny, whenever you said radio play, reminded me of the thought I had in university when I first learned about those. And I always worried like how much exposition was too much exposition in those. Because even with a regular play, at least you can see them. But I always felt like there's going to be some radio play out there be like, well, brother, here we are at the fair.
Well, you know what? It's called theater of the mind. And this is a big thing that people do or approach content in radio, especially now podcasts. But using the power of story and sound effects, people will actually create the visuals themselves in their minds, and it's actually said to be a much more deeper experience. So the radio play, for whatever reason, that maybe there's something that video killed, because it's just easier to sit and watch it done for you. But if you're one of those people who like to, you know, even reading a novel, you know, you're the way I read a novel is I have pictures in my head of what the settings look like and the characters and stuff like that. So same thing for these radio play type audio dramas.
Okay, cool. I like it. Okay, so now we're going to change gears a little bit for the last couple minutes. We are going to play a game. This is one of my favorite games. It's called 30 Seconds. It is a South African game. That's why nobody's heard of it. It's very much like Taboo in the sense that we have a card. There's two sides, and there's a bunch of words, and you have 30 seconds to describe as many of them as you can. You can flip the card if you want. If you run out of things, there are going to be some South African things and things you won't know. That if you don't know what it is, skip it. So you can't say like, oh, it rhymes with this. You can do opposites. So if it's like not up but down, or you know, not king but queen, or whatever. Something I'll do the first one for you guys, so that you can get a sense of how it goes, and then I'll let you. Each of them has received a card. They haven't looked at it. Supposedly, I assume they are good children and follow the honor system.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Laura's like, let me see. I want to see the card. Like, no, Laura, but I want to see it. Okay. I saw that. I'll put it back. All right. I'm going to start reading to you in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. She's going to go to rehab, but she said no.
Amy Winehouse.
Correct. The place in Japan that everybody wants to go to.
Tokyo.
Yes. The song you sing on when it's like somebody was born a year ago. What do you sing?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Keep going. Yes.
Happy birthday to you.
Yes. Okay. The really fast car. The one that everybody really likes.
Lamborghini.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Wow,
Okay. All right. So that was 30 seconds. Nick got Tokyo. I'm going to give happy birthday to you to Nina and Cyndi. Nick got Lamborghini.
Nice.
And Cyndi got Amy Winehouse. So I think that means Cyndi and Nick are tied, but that was the practice round, so that doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. All right, fine.
Okay, so do you want me to time you, or do you want to time yourselves?
You time us.
You time us.
Okay. Okay. Hands up if you had cereal for breakfast today.
Nope.
Okay, great. That didn't work. Okay, we're going to decide it if your name is Nick. Nick, you go first.
All right. So I've got two cards here.
Okay,
I've got two images. I can choose whichever one.
Yeah, you can read from both at any given point. Just describe them the best you can in 30 seconds.
Okay. And
Ready?
I'm doing 5, right?
Sorry?
I'm doing 5.
Do as many as you can. Do as many as you can.
Oh, 30 in 30 seconds. Got it. Okay.
Correct. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
A television station playing music videos.
MTV.
Yeah. South of what's south of America?
South America?
Mexico.
Okay, it's the main location in Mexico.
Mexico City.
Right. When you have an addiction to vodka and you want to fix it, you go to
Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah. It's a song.
Rehab.
Red Wine.
Oh.
That is time.
Red wine.
Yeah.
I like it's a song. Red Wine. Okay. So if I wasn't wrong, I think Cyndi got one. Sorry, Cyndi got two and Nina got one.
Is that right?
I'll trust you on that.
Yes, I'm the moderator. I mean, I actually cheated because I answered and I was like, oh, I should let them play.
No, actually, I think that's fair if you play, Zach, because then there's 3 people and it's not
That's
just
true.
one-on-one.
I guess that's true. I guess that's true. What's it called? The one thing my sister and I always play is we're very in sync. So when we play this and we just like, this is not fair to anyone else that do it.
That's fair enough.
Okay. And okay, Nina, you're going to read this time.
Okay.
All right. And you are,
Okay.
I'm going to time you.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
Makes really good feta cheese.
Goats.
It's a country.
Oh,
Italy.
Greece.
Yeah, Greece. When it's a really nice day outside and the sky is blue, there's usually a lot of
Birds singing.
Birds.
comes from a star.
Sun.
Dust. Sunlight. Sun.
Yeah,
Sunshine.
sunlight.
Sunlight. Okay.
I heard sunlight. It competes with Instagram. Hasn't been doing that well. Has a yellow background. It's an app.
Snapchat.
Snapchat.
Yeah.
Nick got that. I'm giving that one to Nick. That was time.
Totally. Oh, that was time.
Yeah. It's only 30 seconds.
Woo.
Whew.
Okay, so Cyndi, you're still winning. Nick has 1, Nina has 1, Cyndi has 3, and I have 2.
Okay.
See, I always love watching people's like thought processes because Nina's like, oh, it's the thing that when it's a nice day, and I would have been like the detergent.
Okay,
All right, Cyndi, you ready?
okay, I gotta put my glasses on. Okay, hold on.
Me too. Hold on.
Oh my god.
Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, he was in Field of Dreams.
Oh, Robert Redford?
Nope.
Michael Keaton.
No. The Bodyguard. He was in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh God! Oh my God! I know. Oh my God! Mel Brooks.
No.
No.
Bill Pullman.
God. I'm so much older than you guys. Okay.
No, I've seen Robin Hood a million times. I love that movie.
Okay. A Christmas song that you.
You know what? That was
Merry Christmas.
time. But I want on record. I think Cyndi sabotaged us because she wanted to win.
No, not at all.
Oh no! Oh, I can't think of a thing. What?
I thought that was gonna be the easiest one. Oh, jeez.
Who was
Who
it?
was it? Who
Kevin
was the first
Costner.
one? Kevin Costner.
Costner.
Of course.
Man, I'm way too old for you guys. Wow. Okay.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read one more that's not the practice round.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's get ready for this. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, not Selma Hayek, but the other one. Okay, forget it. The Norwegian guys who pillaged everywhere. They had like horn helmets.
Vikings, yeah.
Yes. Oh, dang it! Sorry, I botched that. The woman, she died. She was royalty. She died in a car crash.
Diana.
Princess Diana.
Yes. Whoa, we're halfway there. Whoa.
Living
on a prayer.
Yes, and there you go. Whew. That was stressful. I've accepted not everybody plays this game as intensely as I do.
What was the first one?
The first one was Penelope Cruz.
Oh,
Okay.
True.
Right, not Selma Hayek, but the other one.
yeah, totally. Gotcha. Yeah.
But Selma Hayek 2,
Yeah.
Return of the Hayek.
Nice.
Okay, so I heard Cyndi get Vikings. No, Nina got Vikings.
Nina got it before me for sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Vikings.
and then who got Living on a Prayer?
I
Got nothing
said
on
it,
that one.
I
Yeah,
feel
Cindy,
like
Cindy.
Nina kind of said it.
Okay.
I didn't hear you,
Cindy.
Nick. I didn't hear it.
Cindy.
I
Cyndi,
didn't-
well,
I
listen,
didn't get any
to be honest,
on
it
that
looks
one.
like Cyndi is the winner of that one. Cyndi, you're going to have to take the award. I'm just going to send you an emoji crowns at some point in your time.
Hey, I'll take him. Fantastic.
Okay, so that is our time, everybody. I hope you had a grand old time. I hope everybody watching at home had a good time. I know I did. Go check out Hello Iris, Funded Music at Home, and Micme. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Follow Instinct Marketing on Instagram and Facebook as well. And tune in on Thursday. We're going to have 3 more phenomenal guests. The event page is live. I'll be sending out the invite soon. And yeah, have a great time and stay business casual.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zach.
Love it.
Laters.
Bye, Cyndi. Bye, Nick.
Bye.
I have something to tell you though.
What's that?
Well, I just was thinking because I listen to podcasts all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just listening to this one called the Happiness Lab, where
Okay.
they're talking about the science of meditation and how important it is.
Yeah.
So I
I'm
feel
really
like,
glad I didn't stop recording.
yeah. So I feel like you need to advertise with them is what I feel like.
Huh.
Yeah.
The Happiness Lab.
The Happiness Lab
perfect.
is great, and because she talks about the scientific reasons like that you can become more happy, and she talks all the time about meditation.
Oh, amazing.
Yes, and I love podcasts. I listen to them.
And
all the time.
podcasts really work for ads too. So
Yeah.
Whoa, look at all this partnership and collaboration.
This is what I'm talking about here.
It's almost like you planned this trio, Zach.
Very nice how they plan this. Golly gee.
I know. I was like, oh my god, I listen to podcasts all the time, and meditation is something that I want to actually do. So I'm gonna go check out your app now. Is what I'm gonna do.
Amazing.
And who knows, maybe down the road there'll be meditation for babies. Meditation.
That's right. Podcast for
Full
babies.
circle.
Get him early.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think this is goodbye for real this time.
Yeah.
So I hope everybody enjoyed this director's cut of the talk show. And we'll see you next time.
thanks a lot.
Have a
See ya.
good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.